Hello everyone. So today we are doing a little retrospective about my game, Dobuki's Epic Journey. So first I'm gonna explain the game, how it started, like the idea, and I don't know if you haven't played the game, then I advise you to maybe check out one of the videos where I do the whole walkthrough. But this is an important game for me because it's really the first time I'm really like making an entire story out of a game. I mean, like I develop an entire story basically. It's no longer just like the game itself. The focus is more like pretty much the story than the game, which is good. And I really enjoy making that game. Um, so uh, the thing is, like, I did not start with the story at all, and I just started with basically some very simple point and click mechanic and just added a bunch of stuff along the way, and then it actually evolved into a big story. But the thing that I wanted to do with this game was, for sure, I like basically I wanted to get I got a lot of inspiration from Fantasy Star, which is a game that's span over three different planets, and yeah, and you have lots of adventure throughout all those three planets. So that's basically the main idea. So the way each scene was done pretty much is I would actually draw out the scene and put Dobuki in there, and then decide on the fly, like, okay, what can I add into the scene? Okay, let's add a creature, let's add this and that, let's add a plant. And the thing is, like, the game evolved that way, and actually the story evolved that way as well. So that's kind of weird that it actually evolved so much in and actually made a story, because really, like, there was no plan for a story within the first few parts of the gameplay. It was just like a bunch of separate scenes that led to the next part. So that's why it was a little bit weird. Um, so the first part of the story, it spans the whole. So so you got Dobuki, which is living in the countryside, kinda. So you have different part of the countryside, and it's very open, and there's like lots of creatures, but it does look very open, and there's not a lot of stuff. And then you got the taxi that you cannot get until you get money. So your adventure is like just to go around and try to find a way to get money, and the only way to get money is just you help this guy get some warm milk, and very little thing to do. You just have to get the milk. No, get the jar, get the milk, warm the milk, go back and give it to the guy. And throughout this place, there's a lot of other things you can do, but that's the minimum to get to the next part. And the next part is the city, and the city, it's a little bit more dark environment, and with there's many shops where you can buy for some stuff. Like before, you couldn't buy anything really. That was the countryside. So now you introduced to the idea of shops, and there's like elevator going up and down into the many different shops. So I thought that was very cool. And you get stuck a long time into that area between the city and the countryside. But there's still a lot of things to discover, within that area. You also have like the whole underground story, and I think there's like also a story with the Larry, who's living in the city, and then you help him run back with his family. But I think that part you don't even have to do yet. I think you could have done later. But the next big part was the spaceship, and once you get the spaceship, which is a little bit difficult because you have to defeat uh, an enemy that is a little bit strong. So the enemy gets stronger. So you have to actually level up a little bit before you can get to the spaceship. And like I was just making the game, and then at some point I was thinking like yeah, let's introduce kind of a love interest for the Wookiee. and that's how I introduced the new character. And the new character is actually not that easy to find because you have to travel exactly between two areas, and you have to intercept like a spaceship. But once you get it, then you have a character that follows you the rest of the way throughout the whole story. And I thought that's a good way to really evolve the story because you have Dobuki playing the throughout like if you just control Dobuki from beginning to the end, I don't know. I felt like there was something missing, and then I thought, okay, let's introduce the love interest, which is the same girl on the poster that Dobuki has from the beginning. Um, the problem with the love interest, which is Yukim, is that I'm not very good at drawing women, so she doesn't look so pretty. But I mean, for me, she looks kind of cute. Let's put it that way. But to make her interesting, I really gave her a personality of being a little bit uh, like being a little bit difficult. Like she does stuff that sometimes really like makes Dobuki angry, and then but he really likes her, so he tries not to get angry. But at some point, she does things, and he's really start to get mad. She goes into the she goes into the club and she leaves him behind, and he's like so angry, but then later she makes up for it. um, yeah, so and then there's like the whole story with the ice, and then the later the beach, and well, yeah, all I can say is that I really had a lot of fun after that part, after I introduced the character of Yukim, and just keep adding to it because I felt like, oh, I really got very, very fun story. And then it came to the point where I was kind of like, I was overwhelmed by the game. Like, it was very hard because in my mind, I had a huge story, and in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I'm never gonna finish this because the story is too much. It's too epic, really. Like, pretty much, like, I call the game Epic Journey from the beginning because I thought, oh, that would be kind of funny because it's just a stupid game, but I call it like, oh, Dobuki's Epic Journey. But it turns out like the game started to become at epic proportion. So that's why I rushed the end. The end, there was like plans for a very interesting ending where you got the whole army of the penguin. Like he has like very big creatures, mechanical, and not creatures, like big mechanical things that would be kind of reminiscence of the Star Wars crawlers, the crawlers in Star Wars, and then basically he would try to attack some city, but Dobuki would save the day by just hijacking one of them and start to make them start fighting each other, and they would start fighting each other, and it would cause total chaos. So the penguin, he would be on a spaceship. Oh, and at that point, he managed to kidnap Yukim, and then the goal of the Wookiee would be to rescue Yukim. So then the spaceship would start to teleport back all the penguins as soldiers. So like all the soldiers, like and then as you get teleported, as they get teleported up, basically the idea is that yeah, during the game you have this exploding gift. You give it to someone, and then you knock him out, and then you can take uh, his remote control and get teleported to the spaceship. And then there's you can see like there's a little dog like at the command that's helping everybody get teleported into the ship. And then once you get teleported into the ship, then you face the penguin, and yeah, you realize that Yukim, even though she was kidnapped by the penguin, but she actually was friend with him before, or like had something, some kind of relationship with the penguin. So So then Dobuki get devastated. He thinks like, oh, Yukim betrays me, you know. But then Yukim, she helps Dobuki, and then yeah, they save the day. But actually, I was even planning something kind of a little bit nasty at the end, which is that okay, once you once Dobuki and Yukim are on the spaceship, now they're on this big spaceship. You know, they got rid of the penguin, and they're on the big spaceship, and then they can go anywhere they want. They kind of win the day. But she decided to ditch Dobuki by sending him into an escape pod, and she thinks, oh, okay, I'm just gonna throw him back into the planet, and then I go meet him later. But by accident, she sends Dobuki to a different planet, which is Earth. And then, yeah, by accident, and then she realized, oh crap, I sent him a little bit too far away. And then that would continue the story of Dobuki. But you know what? No, now I think more about it, it's kind of a stupid ending. So I'm glad I didn't go all the way there. Now, but I do want to continue the story because I like Dobuki, and I liked the character, and then I like to have like to be kind of free in my like making this kind of like space fantasy where I can put whatever I want. You know, I can decide, okay, let's have a planet, you know, and have a okay, the planet is gonna have those weird properties like I can put whatever, you know. I can say like, okay, everything is upside down on that planet, or everything is made out of everything is pink, everything is flowery, or everything is dark. I don't know. Just you know, when I think about Dobuki's epic journey, a lot of things go through my mind, a lot of ideas, and now I decided. So that's why I decided to make the iteration. So things to be careful about when I make the iteration. Okay, so Dobuki's epic journey, many problems. I'm gonna go over all the problems that I encountered. So number one, yeah, it became too epic, and then I was so tired of it, and I was thinking, okay, there's no way I'm gonna finish it. So I had to cut down at the end, and I really rushed the ending. Um, so at the end, that's why you have like all the people dancing and everything. But that's a fun ending. Okay, but yeah, that was bad. Number two, the the dialogue system. Okay, the adding content, that was a big problem. So I should have made the method of adding content a lot easier, but I didn't put a lot much thought to it in the beginning. So it ended up being a case where every time I wanted to add a new content in terms of adding a new scene and adding some few characters, you would think that all I need to do is just draw some characters, put it in there, and then define some lines of dialogue, and we're done. But no, because of the way the code was set up, I would I would have to copy paste code and then just like manipulate the code around in such a messy way that was unsustainable. You know, every time I would do the same thing over and over. And of course, you know, I can copy paste, which is okay, but there was even more to that, and it caused a lot of problems. So adding content was a very big nightmare. What else? What other problem did I encounter? I guess the music was okay. I mean, I just yeah, the sound music was okay. There was not very very interesting app like fighting system, but I didn't really mind that. I mean, the main focus is really the story and all the puzzles. There was a lot of bugs. Yeah, so I gotta be a little bit more 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 thorough about testing the game and making it stable. All right, so but a lot of things that I like about the game. So yeah, the next game is not necessarily going to really follow the same same universe because I really need to expand on it. So the idea is pretty much that Dobuki is um, so he won the day, right? He defeated the emperor, and then now we fast forward maybe a few years, and the planets they live in like prosperity, peace, everything is good. So they even now have a system where they actually don't use money at all. Like everything is free, everything is wonderful. And Dobuki is living with his love interest Yukim, or at least close by, and they have like a very peaceful life. And he also gets a job at Lupo along with Serge. Serge, Serge is now Dobuki's colleague, and seems beautiful, right? But Yukim is not satisfied. She decides to leave one day. Leave a little note for Dobuki telling him, you know, I had to go because my heart yearns for adventure, which is kind of sad, right? And then Dobuki realizes that he doesn't want this life anymore, where he just like, you know, he doesn't want this peaceful life. He just wants to be with Yukim, really. So he decides to go on adventure too to meet with her. But of course, this time it's a different time, and then he no longer has a spaceship, so he's gonna have to work his way to find a crew. And since he's gonna ditch his job, suddenly Serge is in trouble because he doesn't have enough like he needs help to finish his work at Lupo, but now Dobuki is gone, so he's in panic. And then he gets and Serge gets fired. And then Serge meets back with Dobuki, uh, who has already found a new crew like for the spaceship, and they decided to take Serge along. So now we have a new crew. It's gonna be two ladies, Dobuki, Serge, and then we're gonna maybe add some more characters. Oh, and then uh, one of the girls' grandma. The story is that the grandma wants to go into space back to Earth because she really misses that. And Dobuki decides to join with the spaceship, and he hopes that along the way, flying into space in this new adventure, he will meet back with Yukim, and that's the story. That's as far as I got. Um, Man, I should have made another video about the story, but okay, I will probably eventually. Maybe with some illustration. That way, it's gonna be more fun. Hope you've enjoyed this little retrospective on the Wookiee's epic journey. And next time we're gonna continue. Next time when I make another video about the Wookiee, we're gonna really flush out the story and also flush out the gameplay, and then yeah, decide on a few things. All right, see you later. Ciao.